The Construction Industry Development Board has initiated a probe into the allegations of a possible link between project failures within the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Transport and the grading of contractors appointed to execute these infrastructure projects. CIDB says, given the potential implications for compliance, performance, and the integrity of the national grading system, it is prioritising a formal discussion with MEC Siboniso Duma to understand the facts and to verify the claims. Now, the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Transport recently complained that companies graded very highly by the CIDB were not meeting project deadlines. Now, to unpack the steps being taken, we are joined by the CIDB CEO, Bongani Dladla. Bongani, thank you very much. It's good to have you here on the program.
Thank you very much, Leanne. It's actually good to talk to you.
So if we can just start right up front and very quickly in the interest of time, what prompted you to actually go and seek clarity from the KZN Department of Transport on these allegations?
Yeah, because when contractors and projects fail, it has severe impact to our economy. We end up wasting billions of rands in incomplete projects that are taking time to complete, and we deprive our people of service delivery. So when such allegations are being raised, we have to take it seriously and we have to act decisively, quickly, to ensure that we rid the construction industry of contractors that are not capable of delivering, whilst also checking the capacity of clients, whether they're able to manage, procure, and deliver on these projects.
So can I ask you, have specific contractors already been flagged for possible fraudulent grading applications or misrepresentation of capabilities as yet?
July, August, we deregistered about 40 companies after investigating over 200 companies where we are picking up from the media or it's being reported to us that they are failing on projects. And then we go back, we look at how have those contractors gotten their grading? Did they falsify any of the required documents, like the financial statements, completion letters to prove their capability? And if we found any wrongdoing in that case, then we would deregister those companies and also open criminal cases with the South African Police Services, because these are serious crimes that are depriving us of service delivery. Yeah. But we've also decided, because projects don't only fail because of contractors, they also fail because of poor clients. We've taken now a 360-10 to look at whether these contractors were being paid on time, whether decisions were being made by clients that would enable project to succeed. But what is within our mandate as a CIDB, who are the custodians of the National Register of Companies, we do not hesitate to act decisively and have taken a zero-tolerance approach towards those that have gotten their grading fraudulently.
Well, one would expect that, but when you get a response from the KZN Department of Transport, they say contractors with some of the higher CDB gradings are consistently missing the deadlines. And that's a little bit worrying, because that may tell you that there's a failure in the actual methodology, the grading methodology. Are you perhaps looking at revising this grading system? Because perhaps there's a problem there as well.
Yes, we've actually presented new regulations also to the minister on how we reinforce certain requirements like skills and also past performance in the grading system. That is going through the process of consultations. But there is an important aspect here, Leanne, where we have to look at whether the project was set up to succeed from the word go. Was the right contractor appointed by the client? And when those contractors were appointed, did they do the right thing in terms of delivering on time? So we're also looking at that aspect. We will forever revamp our grading systems, especially when we have credible lessons learned like those that are coming through as to what could be potential causes of project failures. But we also need to ensure that we act swiftly within the current rules and not wait for future regulations.
So the MEC Siboniso Duma has suggested that grading mismatches may have contributed to this widespread project delay that we are seeing. But the bottom line is the public want accountability in all of this, and I think you know that. So is this a CIDB problem actually, a departmental problem, or is it actually a mixture of both?
I think my anticipation is a mixture of both, but within the CIDB, we have to act like we have done before in July, August, where we deregistered 40 companies, and there has been staff members where we find that they could have been wrongdoing, where they've either left the CIDB or have been dismissed for participating in that. And we've gone further to work with the South African Police Service to say, how do we prosecute these crimes? Because sometimes they are seen as harmless crimes. You know, someone just defrauded with a piece of paper, but it has real impact on the projects on the ground and service delivery. So from our side, we have to act swiftly to ensure that we can investigate, find the truth, and then act accordingly.
Yeah, because, I mean, this does impact very badly. I mean, in KZN, there's repeatedly suffered massive infrastructure failures, whether we're talking to collapsed bridges, incomplete rural roads, stalled maintenance contracts. I mean, this is unfortunately a common occurrence. How many active KZN projects are actually currently classified by CIDB as at risk, delayed, or actually abandoned at this point?
Within the Department of Transport in KZN, we are looking at the 30 projects that the MEC has raised, but the AG also, when they finish their audit, they will be sharing information with us with which projects do they consider to have been excessively run over time. So we can also look at those projects and those contractors. But also taking a proactive approach as a CIDB, we've also instituted an audit of all the high-graded contractors and are bringing in experts to the CIDB to assist us, fraud investigators, forensic accountants, to look at all those submissions that have been made, especially for grade 9 contractors, so that we can quickly stop those that are not qualified to doing work with the state.
So it would be remiss of me not to ask about, you know, some of the contractors, obviously the KZN contractors, have stated publicly that construction mafia is a major problem. And we know this. This is not anything new. Calling themselves business forums, they disrupt sites, they demand percentages, they forced subcontracting. So to what extent is the CIDB's investigation actually looking into whether non-performance is actually extortion-driven rather than contractor-driven?
And Leonie, that is precisely an important contribution to this, because we have to look at the whole 360, the performance of the contractor, the performance of the client, the performance of a consultant, so that we can see really what is contributing to this. But I have to say, though, when it comes to site disruptions and stoppages, we are actually winning that battle following the work that we've been doing with the South African Police Services. The number of sites that have been stopped has significantly reduced, but obviously that will contribute, because what you find that we also don't even have mechanisms of compensating contractors for lost time in those types of events. So already the project feels the pain, and there is also excessive security cost that the contractors also have to bear. So we are also looking at those kinds of things, and also other basic things like, is the client paying for the contractor to be able to order materials, pay its staff, so that the projects are not stopped unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Hence, it is important when we are looking at these types of cases to look at the full 360 of all the stakeholders that have played a role into the project success or failure.
What about political interference? And this will be my last question. I know there's just so much to talk about, but there's repeated allegations that there is political interference in the KwaZulu-Natal infrastructure procurement program. So, you know, will you interrogate this and take action against anything if you do find that, in fact, political interference is something that's happening?
Yes, that will definitely be reported to the appropriate authorities, whether it's the SAPS, the Auditor General, or National Treasury, if we see that the procurement process did not follow the prescripts and our standard for uniformity, because as a CIDB, we also are attempting to standardize on how infrastructure procurement ought to happen. So if there is any foul play on that, we will have to come out publicly to state what could have led to those project failures, if that is part of it, or report it also to the appropriate authorities, because it's quite important that we look at the full 360 on these types of challenges.
All right, let's leave it there. We'll have to pick this up once you get further into this investigation, because it's a very important one in terms of the construction industry. But Bongani Dladla, thanks for talking to us here on the program. He, of course, is the Construction Industry Development Board CEO, speaking about a probe that's being conducted into an alleged link between project failures in KwaZulu-Natal Transport and contractor grades.